So this is the Google Pixel 5a, a budget phone with an excellent camera and the biggest battery in the Google's affordable A series. It's a surprisingly capable phone, but it launched so quietly that it almost seems like Google doesn't want you to know about it. Well, you should. Hey guys, my name is Vic and I have been testing this phone and mostly I love it. The biggest problem with it is that you can only buy one if you live in the US or Japan. And even in the US, you have to buy it on the Google store and only then register it with your carrier. Why is Google keeping such a good phone so secretive? The reason is called Pixel 6, Google's next flagship, which is coming in October, and that's the more expensive and more advanced phone that Google wants you to buy. But if you don't want to spend big bucks on a phone, well, the Pixel 5a really checks all the important boxes. First, let's start with what this phone is not. It's not pretty. In all honesty, it looks downright boring. Despite the simple looks though, the Pixel 5a is built like a tank. Unlike fragile flagships made out of glass, this phone features a sturdy metal body. Now you could hardly tell because it's covered in this material that Google calls bioresin, which gives the metal an almost plastic-like feel, but make no mistake, it's metal underneath. And last year Pixel phones were super compact, but the Pixel 5a is no longer that. It's a bigger and also chunkier phone. Not quite gigantic, but not compact by any means. Just take a look at how it dwarfs the Pixel 5. And it's also quite a bit heavier. Now the Pixel 5a is not only built like a tank, but it also features IP67 water protection, so it will survive a short drop in water, which is great to see on a budget phone. And you also have the 3.5mm headphone jack at the top. Again, one more thing that you wouldn't get on a flagship. And a nice little touch here is the textured power button on the side, which is super easy to find just by touch. The screen is 6.34 inches in size, so it's quite large, and in terms of colors, I could not spot a difference from much more expensive flagships. It's an OLED screen with deep blacks and excellent contrast and also great viewing angles. It also gets bright enough for comfortable outdoor use, which is one thing that other budget phones compromise on quite often. However, Google has also cut one corner short. The screen does not support 90Hz or 120Hz for smooth scrolling. It runs at 60Hz, which makes scrolling look a bit choppy, and it's noticeable. The phone is not really slow, but not perfectly smooth either, and for me that was one of the bigger disappointments. Speaking of disappointments, Google also sticks with the same Snapdragon 765G processor that it used last year. And that's a bit of a shame considering that we have much faster chips now. Still, the clean software on this phone helps ensure that it runs quite well, and I didn't experience much of a stutter in daily use. If you want to play games though, this phone is a bit on the slow side, and I can recommend the OnePlus Nord 2, which has the much more powerful MediaTek 1200 processor, and it costs even less than the Pixel, but where other budget phones cannot quite match up to the Pixel is, you guessed it, camera quality. You have two cameras on the back, a 12-megapixel main shooter and the 16-megapixel ultra-wide camera. No zoom lens, but that unfortunately has become the norm on budget phones. So during the day, these cameras capture great looking shots with excellent dynamic range so you don't get burned highlights or crushed shadows, a common problem on budget phones. Now occasionally you can get slightly darker and a bit underexposed shots, typical for the Pixel, but mostly this camera just works super well. And you also have a portrait mode that gives you a 1x or a slightly zoomed 1.3x view. Now the portrait effect only applies after you capture the photo, keep that in mind. The real advantage of the Pixel 5a, however, shows at night, where it captures a lot more light than rivals. Compared with the iPhone SE, the Pixel 5a is miles ahead, but even compared with other Android rivals, you get cleaner and better looking shots at night. On the video front, you can shoot it up to 4K resolution and get excellent video stabilization. Google actually has 4 different stabilization modes and they give you that walking on air feel, or they can just lock the camera in place. The overall quality is great. Testing the video stabilization. So Pixel phones are known for having great video stabilization. So you let me know how you like the video recording quality. You can see the continuous autofocusing feature if it's able to quickly switch the focus back to my face and to the background, and again on my face, and if I step out, it should be able to focus on the background and back to me. Zoom in to the maximum level, take a look at the quality, and then zoom back out to the main camera. And you also have an ultra-wide camera, so let's switch to that real quick. Switching over to the 0.6x ultra-wide camera. Now, unfortunately, I have also stumbled upon a few camera bugs that I want to talk about, and the biggest one has got to be the overheating with 4K 60 video. So if you want that maximum quality, only after 2 or 3 minutes of recording, the phone would overheat and ask you to close the camera app and let it cool off. So basically, 4K 60 is barely usable at the moment. Now, I don't use 4K 60 all that often, but if you do, keep that in mind. Good thing is that 4K 30 works mostly fine, and I could record more than 10 minutes with no issues, and I just got bored after that. The other bug I often get is that the camera just takes way too long to load up. Now, I had it stuck at the black loading screen for half a minute. And imagine if you're in a hurry to capture that one special moment, that can be really frustrating. Fingers crossed that Google can fix this in updates, but right now the camera experience is definitely inconsistent. Now, I should also mention the dual speakers here that can get super boomy and sound surprisingly good. In fact, they sound better than the speakers on the more expensive Pixel 5 from last year. And having that headphone jack, I like it. And it's just strange that companies insist on not including one when polls consistently show that 70% of users still wish to have it. But the real highlight of the Pixel 5a has got to be its big battery. You get a 4680 mAh battery inside, and Google goes a bit on the safe side and says this is an all-day battery. But in my experience, you can extend that to a full 2 days if you don't use your phone way too much. Now, we have also run our proprietary battery tests, and just browsing the web, Pixel 5a lasts around 15 hours. It also beats most other phones when it comes to YouTube video streaming, and in our 3D gaming battery test as well, it scores way above the competition. So this battery is indeed legit. And for charging, you get an 18-watt charging brick in the box, and it takes around an hour and 45 minutes to top up the phone. There is no wireless charging, one little convenience that Google left out for its more expensive phones, but I don't really mind. But really, that is the thing about the Pixel 5a. You get the excellent camera, you get the clean software, day one updates from Google and Android, and you really don't have to compromise too much. This phone is indeed a great deal, and it over-delivers with its incredible battery life. Now, should you wait for the Pixel 6? Well, if you can spend $1,000 on a phone and want the very best, sure. But if you just want a solid phone that doesn't cost a fortune, the Pixel 5a delivers. Oh yeah, and Google, please fix those few annoying camera bugs sooner. So this will do it for this review. Is the Pixel 5a the budget phone to buy this year? That's a question for you. Or would you rather buy a different device in the budget below $500 price range? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. My name is Vic. This is Phone Arena, and I'll catch you in the next one.